Now, examining our nation's energy future is the focus of a conference coming up in Oklahoma City. Earlier, I visited with Jim Roth, Farmer Corporation Commissioner and renewable energy proponent. Jim, when it comes to our nation's energy policy, we hear so many opinions out there. How do we figure it all out?
You know, a lot of Americans wonder whether we have an energy policy, and when you pay $4 for gasoline and dealing with wars in parts of this world where we're having to import their product, you begin to wonder whether we have a rational policy. The George Kaiser Family Foundation out of Oklahoma, right here, Tulsa, has initiated the National Energy Policy Institute in partnership with the University of Tulsa. And its mission is to analyze, just to your point, how do we figure out what is a rational energy policy that's not from a partisan angle or any kind of business interest only focus, but really let's analyze it. Let's look at the econometrics of it. Let's compare our own American sources of energy. Let's look at how that could displace imported oil for the sake of our energy independence and national security. Let's also look at it from a bit of a green filter. Let's look at, if we choose cleaner energy, how does that offset greenhouse gas emissions that is obviously becoming a part of the mounting climate change problem?
Now, there is an opportunity for people to learn more on October 7th at a conference where you're going to be examining 4 basic areas, and the first one being supply.
That's right. You know, you've always heard in economics about supply and demand. Clearly, supply is the first issue in any energy conversation. How much supply is there of what type of energy? We Oklahomans, as you know, are blessed with a lot of abundant resources. We provide about 4% of America's oil production today and almost 10% of its natural gas production. Many people think that ultimately we'll provide as much as 9 to 10% of its wind power right here in Oklahoma. But the question becomes, for our country, do we have enough supply innately, inherently within our country for the sake of our demand and our growing economy? That becomes our first analysis.
And the flip side of that is the demand supply. Can we conserve our way out of this?
That's right. You know, in the electricity sector, those plasma TVs that everybody wants for Super Bowl and that we might want in this upcoming football season, actually consume about $100 worth of electricity a year. People don't think about it, but it's constantly draining electricity, and their little meter is spinning on the outside of their house. It's pretty expensive. Our thoughts and our analysis into the demand issue is, with the growing load, in spite of this economic recession, and the growing load over time, how do we meet that load for a country that's growing, for an economy that's growing, that needs more electricity? Also, how can we be smarter about it? Should we install thermostats in homes that actually tell you the price of electricity at that moment? So you could decide for half price to turn on your dishwasher at 10 p.m. instead of 4 p.m. when it literally is twice as much to do that. So there's a lot of analysis that goes into our demand need, but also how to offset some of that with having an intelligent consumer.
Where does regulation fit in? I know there's a lot of concern in the state about over-regulation from the federal government.
Right. Over-regulation from the federal government, maybe even some would argue from the state government. As you know, electricity is a regulated sector because it's a monopoly. The idea is that Oklahoma's Constitution has the Corporation Commission supposedly safeguarding that ratepayer from the undue burden of a monopoly like electricity. The question is, what's the right touch? How do you find that balance between protecting that consumer, but also inspiring that utility to invest and to grow, and not just to kind of bunker in? And that's the question that we hope to answer in the thought of what is the right regulation balance.
And the final thing you'll be talking about at the October 7th conference is transmission lines.
That's right. How do you get our power here in Oklahoma to the load centers, the population centers of America, mostly on the east and west coast? That becomes the great question. You know, we can grow the greatest watermelon in Rush Spring, but how do you get it to where the people want to eat it? We can have the greatest amount of wind turbines in the western part of our state, but it does no good if we have more capacity there than we actually need as a state. We have to be able to transmit those electrons to where consumers will pay for them and bring those revenues back, grow our jobs here, and hopefully solve America's energy dilemma.
And again, the conference is October 7th in Tulsa?
That's right, right here in Tulsa, courtesy of the George Kaiser Family Foundation and the University of Tulsa. It's a beautiful partnership, and we hope it's going to provide some real solutions as our country goes forward.
All right, thank you for stopping by, Jim.
You bet, thank you.